Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I am Leslie Myrick. I am Nancy Ganzekaufer's associate coach, and this is Monday Makeover, where we are talking websites with our amazing sponsor, Robin White. Good morning, Robin. How are you doing?
I'm great, Leslie. Good morning.
I am excited to talk with you about this. I am a website nerd, and I dive deep into this topic on my own, but I'd love to hear more about this about page and why it is so important that the about page is irresistible and it is optimized.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So excited to talk about this. So, your about page, just in case anyone doesn't know what an about page is on your website, it's where you share who you are with your audience. And it is oftentimes an overlooked page or a page that is just kind of thrown up and not really given much thought. And that is a huge mistake. And I'm going to share a statistic. So, a study that was done by Co-Marketing said that 52% of respondents said the first thing they want to see when they land on a website is the about page. So that's
More so than your services or your portfolio, they want to know about the person behind whatever company they're looking at.
Right, because people do business with people, right? So learning about the person behind the business, especially now, is becoming increasingly more important. So what you really don't want your about page to be is like just a bio of you, like your resume. That's not what visitors to your website are looking for. What you really want to do is share your brand story, because we all have a story to share. You want to connect with your ideal clients, and you want to build trust. And then most importantly, you want to share the value you bring to the table as an expert, along with the value you create for your ideal clients.
So it's not about you. It's about your client and what you can do for them.
It's about you in terms of what you do for your ideal clients and how you help them. So you have to frame it in sort of I think, a different way than a lot of us think, right? It's not just, oh, I went to school here and I loved designing when I was a child. Like, how does that benefit your ideal client? Like, what have you gone through in your life? Like, your story, your experiences. What is your unique selling proposition, your unique value proposition, your special sauce? That's what you want to get across there. You want to be unique. You want to stand out from all the other interior designers in your area who are offering the same kind of service, but how do you do it differently? And how do your experiences make you different from everyone else? That's what you want to get across.
So that's really the important part of an about page, is how you serve your clients, like who you serve and how you serve them, and how you do it differently, why you're different than every other designer out there.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I've posted on my social media before, the last place you want to look for inspiration for your website is other interior designers' websites, because you don't want to look like them. You want to be unique and come across as yourself, right? Take a position, be you, be unique.
I like that. Take a position. It's okay to be a little bit polarizing sometimes. I've heard the idea that you either want to attract or repel people quickly.
Yes, exactly. I think your website, in the design and the messaging, should attract who you want to work with and repel who you don't want to work with, because you don't want people who you don't want to work with filling out your form and booking a discovery call with you and wasting your time, right?
Yeah. And when you're trying to be safe and reach everybody with your about page, we can work with any design style. We serve every client. When you try to attract everybody, you attract nobody.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So while about pages are a little tricky, they do take effort and work. They're really, really worth it, because when you achieve that magic balance and you create a bridge between your brand and your audience, you've succeeded, right?
I love that metaphor, a bridge between your brand and your audience. The
That's
about
really
page
what
is
it
what
is.
brings it together.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that helps. And then one other thing I would just love to bring up before we take a look at Anne's about page is How your about page can help with SEO, search engine optimization.
Okay.
So this generally is not a page that we're doing keyword research for and trying to rank for a specific keyword. Keywords you might want to rank for here would be your name, and if you have a team, and if there's anyone known on your team, the team member's name. So if somebody's searching by name, ideally the about page would come up. Where it becomes important is it can help in boosting your website's EAT. And that stands for expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And that was probably the biggest algorithm change that Google pushed out in 2023.
I have not heard that phrase before, EAT. It sounds
EAT.
similar to the know, like, and trust factor, and now Google's making it an official thing.
I think it's a little different, and I think it's a bit more of a reaction to AI-generated content. So, yeah, Google wants to know there's an actual person who's writing what is on the website, and that they're actually an expert, an authority, and trustworthy. So that's where this came out. And it came out, I think it was last September. It's had a big impact on a lot of things, but your about page, while you're not necessarily going to rank for a keyword here, it can be incredibly important in establishing that EAT value to Google. Yeah.
I love that. It's so fun to learn new web stuff because it's changing so constantly. So I'm very glad there are people like you, Robin, who keep on top of this and give the rest of us this advice so that we can make positive changes on our websites.
Yeah, SEO especially is ever changing, constantly. There's a new update that just got pushed out this month, which I will not talk about here because it doesn't. But yeah.
Well, let's dive into reviewing Ann Haas's about page. She is one of our Profit Insiders Academy graduates. And I'm going to pull up her website here. And Robin, you take the wheel and walk us through this.
Okay. And I just want to say, Ann, thank you for volunteering. We really appreciate that. And if anybody else would like to volunteer their website for a Monday makeover, make a note in the comments, pop me a message, and we'll be happy to add you to the list. But here we are looking at Ann's about page. And the first thing, I always like to start with sort of the header area. And I think it's great that she's got her logo on one side and her menu on the other. And I love that she's got a really pretty background color there, so that area stands out. So really well done with that. One suggestion I have is there's a lot going on in the menu. And I think we're always better served having a really simple and really clear menu so that we don't overwhelm visitors landing on our website. So something I might suggest to Ann that she can do here is maybe simplify some of the pages, try to get them down to one word. So maybe Contact Ann could just be contact, so it's a little shorter. FAQ and working with a designer, I'm not quite sure how she wants to shorten that, but it's taking up quite a bit of space there. And she can actually remove home, because if you click on the logo from any other page of the website, it will take you back home. So that would just help streamline everything there a little bit. Okay. And then I'm just going to scroll so we can see. Will it let me? Just not letting me scroll, Leslie.
Okay. Super fun. You got to love technical
stuff.
Now,
let me see if I go.
For a second.
Okay.
Why don't you try to share it again, Robin, and see if we can get
All right. Will do.
Yep. Nancy is the StreamYard expert, and I am the newbie who is just plugging through, trying to figure out all the tech involved.
I am definitely not the expert. Okay, it's back up.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, I might need to actually be here. Can you see this moving?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, so I have to be there. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through so we can see what Ann's page looks like, because that's essentially it. And then I will come back over to StreamYard and talk through this. So I love that Ann has a smiling photo of her looking at the camera. Wonderful, because there's so many websites where I go to where there's no photo of the owner or the lead designer. I also love that she's letting us know her name, because while sometimes there's no photo, sometimes I can't find the name of the person who owns the business. And these are two really important things to have on your homepage too, and your about page. And let me go back so I can scroll a little bit. What I would recommend here is thinking about moving the photo maybe to the left-hand side and Anne's name to the right-hand side, because right now, design-wise, we've got a lot of empty space on either side. And then what Anne could possibly do is take her content here, which is a lot to read through, kind of long paragraphs. And again, when we're laying out any page on our website, what we really want to do is think about the fact that people have really short attention spans, and a lot of people are going to just sort of skim or scan what's there. So making use of headings and subheadings and short paragraphs and sometimes bullet points. I might even recommend breaking all of that text up into different sections. So maybe a paragraph of it goes next to the photo, and then we have the next paragraph that's maybe designed with a color background, so it stands out a bit, and then maybe the next paragraph might have another image and text, or maybe there's a background image with text overlaid with some background that has a little opacity, just to kind of create some visual interest for the visitor.
I agree. I think right now it reads a bit like a book. It's text on white background. I think those are great tips. And, shortening some of those paragraphs, adding headings. I love your idea of having the image off to one side and some copy there and have it wrap almost more like a magazine layout.
Yes.
I think it would end up looking like. And I've never thought of a website like that, but it really kind of leans that way, doesn't it? More, we have to pay attention to that visual layout of text and graphics and headings and copy within that.
It's so important. And the other thing you want to think about when you are designing the website is that there are different buying personalities out there. So if you just take two ends of the spectrum, you have like a quick start, someone who's going to make a pretty fast decision, and then you have someone who's like a researcher, and you want to have information on there in a digestible way for both opposite ends of the spectrum. So the quick start, your headlines, your headings, and your subheadings are going to be super important. They're never going to read the text, but a researcher is going to read the text, right? So we kind of want to have things presented in a way that's equally beautiful and acceptable to both ends of the buying spectrum.
I love that. So you're saying the headings also have to have valuable information in them, not just like bio, our work, something like that, but have it actually provide like a teaser, almost a bit of information for what's coming.
Yes, exactly. And Leslie, that is the perfect segue into the content that I really like to see on an about page. So in case Anne wants to add to what she already has here, what you really want to have at the top is a compelling headline, something that is going to draw people in, because truthfully, the job of each section on the pages of your website is to get people to move down to the next section.
Okay.
Right. So we want to start out with.
Then would you do on an about page, not just like meet Anne Haas, or is there something, or is that all you would want on there? Or is there more to it than that?
I would like to see something that's a little more attention grabbing than that, but because copywriting is absolutely not a strength of mine, you don't want me writing your copy. I'm really good at telling you what should go where, but not how to write it. So I'm not sure what a really great compelling headline would be, but you definitely want something there. The same way at the very top of your homepage, you want to have a really compelling headline. You really want that at the top of every page so that people continue to stay there and scroll down and learn more. Yeah. Right.
I like that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
The next section that would be really great, because we don't necessarily want to start out right away with who we are. The next section could be sort of how you approach and solve problems.
I like that.
Right? Because we always want to show that we understand our ideal client and we empathize with them. So this is where you can explain how you help them. And by explaining how you help them, you're also showing that you understand what they're struggling with. right? So they're going to be like, oh, she gets me. And they're going to scroll down to read more. And this is also where you can share like solutions that you provide, headaches that you can take away, things like that. And it doesn't need to be a ton of information, just a little bit that kind of pulls them in and makes them go down to the next section.
I like that, because no one's going to be researching a designer if they don't have a problem. There's something going on with their home. They want someone to help fix it. And that is where we as interior designers step in.
Exactly. And then the next section you want to have is sort of your company story. So why did you get into interior design? Like, what led you here to where you are now? So this is sort of your brand story. Like, why does your business exist? Right. And again, this can be someplace where if you have a really unique business name that's not your name, you can share why'd you come up with that? How'd you come up with that? Like, what's the significance of it? This is where you can share like your mission and your values, things like that.
I love that. So those are things that should be, the about page isn't just about you as designer / owner. It also needs to incorporate about your company, your history, who you serve, how you serve them.
Exactly.
Is there I know you don't do the copy and that's fine, but is there like a word count? Is there a length that you sort of see as an ideal, or does it really depend on the person and the firm and the content and their style?
I think it really depends on the person, firm, content, style. I think, as far as, I always say there's a fine line between having too much content and too little content. And for me, as a website designer and an SEO specialist, a lot of it comes down to how important SEO is for you as a marketing tool, because it's not something that's important for every business. If it is important for you, then high quality, valuable content of a decent length, Google doesn't tell us exactly how much, is very important. So you need to have words and high quality words on your pages. If that's not something that is part of your marketing plan or important to you, then it can be significantly less words. So a lot, I think, kind of goes into it, and what sort of your marketing strategy is for your business.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I would imagine too, that length and content also has to do with your brand voice. Like, are you playful and short and sweet, or are you more traditional and verbose and big fancy words? Okay, so it really is more about, are you using the about page? Is there a ton of SEO value for you there? And how does it fit with you and your brand and that voice that you have publicly?
Absolutely, Leslie. Yep.
Okay.
So after you've shared your company story, this is now where you want to talk about you. And if you have a team, your team. So this is where you would have the photo of you and your name and your title and, a bit about your background and everything like that. And then the same thing with team members if you're not a solopreneur. And I would just say, design-wise, if you do have a team, even if it's just a team of you and one other, as the owner and lead designer, you want to make sure that your section is more substantial than your team member section, just so you stand out as the owner and the lead designer. Maybe your photo is a little larger or a different shape than the team members. Maybe your bio is a bit longer than theirs. You give more information about you than you do about them, but something just so that you're standing out as front and center, I think, is important.
What about a business that is not someone's name, but a company name, and maybe it's a partnership? Would those two be equal, but still bigger than the staff below? Is that kind of the idea, that the principals, the leads, are always the biggest, probably the most copy? Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. And this is something where you can share a bit about your personality as well. So for example, if it's just you, like it is for my business, what can be really nice, and I think this is someplace where you guys as designers, your creativity can really shine through. You can have a fun facts section or a get to know me section. And there's so many amazing ways that you can lay that out and share that personal information. I mean, you could do a mood board showing photos of things that you love and have a little bit of text in there. You can do a question and answer. I have a little fun facts about me, but there's lots of creative ways that you can get across some personal information about you so that people can relate to you as a human being.
I was wondering about that because I see those sections on some designers' websites and I think they're fun and cute and I like them. I don't have one on my own site and I wasn't sure what the perception was, if that is a positive thing or it's too casual. But it sounds like with this idea of really communicating you and your voice and your personal brand and your story, it's not only fine, it's probably a great idea and a nice way to not only visually break up the page, I would imagine, but get little extra snippets of here's more about Anne, here's more about Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
You can get to them on a different level.
Yeah.
Any tips for like what things you'd put in there? Like what do
Oh,
people
sure.
know?
So,
Favorite books, favorite movies?
oh
Favorite,
yeah.
I
I
don't know
mean,
what kind of things do you do?
you can do anything, Leslie. And just to go back to your comment that you don't have one and you weren't sure if you should. So I think if you are, depending on your brand personality, that would be kind of how you want to present this section. So if you're a little more reserved, formal, something like that, maybe you could do a question and answer type of, right? Because that's just a little more formal. So you could say, and you can do a question and answer in a little more casual way. So you could do beach or mountains, coffee or tea, dogs or cats, right? That's a little more informal for a Q&A. Or you could actually write out a question like, what's your favorite paint color? Where do you like to spend your free time? And you could be a little more formal or traditional in your answers. I think, I have on mine just a list of interesting facts. And next to it are my 2 pugs, because they're really important to me. And they're black and white photos, so they're a little more elevated, but they're an important part of my life. And I want people to know about them. So that's how I introduce them on my About page.
That's really sweet. And, we've been doing a lot of learning on the back end at Nancy's company about sort of like biophilic design and the importance of like nature in design. And people respond really well to pictures that have plants and natural elements and animals in them.
Mhm.
So I think that's a great thing to include on your About page because you're going to subconsciously appeal to people because we respond to natural elements, plants and animals in photos,
Yes.
not just perfectly styled interiors. I think that's
Mhm.
great. And we all know dog lovers love other dog lovers. And if you're a pug owner, you're going to see Robin and go, "Oh my gosh, she's a great web designer and she's got pugs. Like she's the one for
Exactly.
me."
And there's so many little fun facts you can share about yourself that aren't giving away like truly personal information. Because I understand some people are very private, but you can share, what kind of exercise you like to do. I mean, I think I share that I like chocolate, who my favorite football team is, things like that can just be conversation starters, right?
Really
And for
fun.
people, it's just a way for people to get to know your personality a little bit.
My brain's spinning. I'm like, I want to do one. As soon as we're hanging up, Robin, I'm going to go tinker on my website a little bit.
Oh my gosh, you have to tell me when you're done so I can take a peek at it.
All right. Any other tips for Anne, who very graciously allowed us to cross-examine her About page?
Yeah. So just 2 more sections that I would love to see. And I would love to see Anne actually introduce these, even if she does nothing else. Proof. You want to prove that you're actually capable of saying everything that you said you can do already on this page. So this is where a testimonial or 2 from a client would come in, or any logos that would link to press features or podcasts that you've been on. But this is sort of your social proof. And if you don't have press or media, that's absolutely fine. Put up a client testimonial or 2 right here. So it's kind of saying, yeah, she can do everything that she's just said she can do, and raving about you. And then finally, you want to have a call to action. So this is, what is the next step you want a visitor to your website to take now that they've just spent all this time reading through your About page, they've gotten to the bottom. Now, what do they do? Generally speaking, depending on what your customer journey is, you're going to want to take them either to your services page from here, maybe to your portfolio page, or maybe to your contact page. There's no right or wrong, just depends what your customer journey is.
If people are not sure which one to do, I know there's no right or wrong. Do you have a recommendation?
Contact, just because that's our ultimate goal for all of us, is we want people to contact us so we can book that discovery call.
I love that. That's great advice, Robin.
Yeah. And that's it for Anne's page. I mean, I think she's done some really great things, and there's, a couple things that she can make some changes and improve on, but really well done.
Yeah. I love too that she has a beautiful professional photo of herself. You mentioned the photo early on, and I did want to point that out, that is professionally shot. The background makes sense with her industry and her aesthetic. The body language. I know Nancy's big on body language. You can see her hands. She looks open. So those are all very subtle cues to potential clients that you are trustworthy. You are who you say you are. You value quality.
So. I'm so glad you brought that up, Leslie. Everything you said is so spot on. The photos are so important, especially for interior designers. You are a luxury service, whether you're appealing to a luxury market or not, right?
Yes.
You are a want, not a need. So everything just needs to be presented beautifully. And you're also a in-person service for the most part. So that trust factor and how you appear in the photos of you are so much more important, let's say, than someone like me who's working virtually with all of my clients. And I'm not showing up at your front door. So it's really important.
I love that. And also I want to point out the fact that having a recent photo is important. If you had great headshots taken 15 years ago and you look nothing like your photo, that's going to erode trust when you show up to someone's home or you show up on Zoom and you don't look anything like your bio picture. And I've seen this happen with designers, and it's wild when, you know that they love that photo of themselves and they're holding on to it, but just invest. Even if you have a friend with a camera, invest in getting someone to take a shot of you that feels current and on brand and actually looks like you look now.
So important that you look like your photos. I just did a brand photo shoot a little less than a year ago, and I was actually thinking about maybe changing my hairstyle, and I'm like, I can't because I'm not doing new photos.
It's gonna last me a little bit longer.
Like my photos.
Yeah. But I mean, that's smart. And there is a value to that. Doesn't mean you can't change your style or change your look. But if it's so off, it's going to confuse people. Or if they see your website about page photo and then they see you on Instagram, and that disconnect can really be, I know it can just really erode trust, and people are a little leery of what you've got going on. Are you who you say you are if you don't look like your photo on your about?
Any disconnect is going to breed distrust.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. It's so important that everything is cohesive across all platforms.
Yeah. I think that's great. Any last thoughts? Anything that we missed about pages and building trust and how to make them shine?
I think the most important takeaway is put some effort into it, because it really is an important page.
That's good. It can't just be an afterthought of your quick bio thrown up there and you move on.
Not at all.
All right. Well, thank you, Robin, for being here. Thank you, Anne, for volunteering your website. I hope the tips were helpful, and we will see you next Monday for another Monday Makeover.
Thanks, Leslie. Bye.